First up, let's crack open that owner's manual. In our first installment of the owner's manual, we're going to dive into the heart of what we're truly here to talk about, understanding trauma. We're going to break it down as to exactly what it is, how it affects us, and how we begin to navigate its impact. So let's start from the very basics. What the hell is trauma? At its core, trauma refers to the lasting effects on the body, mind, and spirit after someone experiences an event or series of events that overwhelms their emotional response. It's not just the event itself, but how our system reacts to it when our usual coping mechanisms simply aren't enough. When a traumatic event occurs, our innate survival system kicks in. This is often referred to as the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. These are automatic, evolutionary responses designed to protect us from the threat that we're perceiving in front of us, whether it's real or not. We've all heard of fight, right? This is that response that prepares us to actually fight off the threat. It can manifest as feeling aggressive, wanting to physically confront the perceived danger, or show up as an explosive release of emotions. It's our body getting ourselves ready to fight off and scare away the danger that's in front of us by making us look bigger, sound bigger, feel bigger, scarier, and more threatening. I'm sure we've also heard of the flight response. This response readies us to actually run away from the threat. You might feel intense urges to want to escape, have a sense of hypervigilance, or feel fidgety and restless. That's really your body getting itself ready to say that at any moment when it needs to just get up and get the heck out of Dodge, to get away from the threat. We've been hearing a lot more too recently about the freeze response. This response is literally about freezing in place to make that threat think you're already dead. This can feel like a consistent or constant sense of dread, being stuck or unable to move, pounding heartbeat, and maybe even pale skin. Often people describe themselves as feeling trapped, or some might say they look like deer in the headlights. And again, that's literally our body trying to look as dead as possible so that the threat will just walk away and not even want to try bothering with us. More recently, we've found that there's even a fourth response that can kick into our survival instinct, and that's called the fawn response. So this response involves trying to appease the threat to avoid conflict. This tends to look like excessive agreement, people-pleasing, or being overly concerned with making everybody happy. I don't know about you guys, but this one seems kind of familiar to me from time to time. It's a strategy to de-escalate danger by becoming non-threatening. And it's pretty easy to spot a people pleaser. So I think a lot of us probably have had moments where we feel this way and didn't even know that this is actually a response to trying to survive. So knowing all this, now you might be saying, okay, well, how does it actually look in daily life for someone living with this trauma? Let's break it down a little bit further. If you're stuck in fight mode, in everyday life, you could be someone who's often in defense mode, ready for an argument, clenching your jaw, grinding your teeth, or feeling a burning sensation in your stomach. You might even be more aggressive or quick to anger, because again, you're prepared to fight off whatever threat is coming at you. If you're stuck in flight, you could be really hypervigilant, feel fidgety all the time, or a sense of being trapped or restless, or even having difficulty remembering events as a way of escaping from reality. Our brains will literally take our consciousness and disconnect it from what's happening in order to help save our sanity from being too overwhelmed and possibly making us a target and putting our lives in danger. If you're stuck in freeze, you might feel a constant sense of dread, have pale skin, feel stiff or heavy, might be feeling unable to move or feel like you can't make decisions, or you might experience a pounding heartbeat. If someone tells you that you look like a deer in the headlights, probably means you're stuck in freeze mode at the moment. If you're stuck in the fawn response, you're going to be really concerned with making everybody else around you happy. You might be prone to excessive agreement, people-pleasing behaviors. You're going to do anything to avoid any potential conflict or negative attention. And that's not cool, because that could be putting you into situations where you're actually doing things that go against your own morals, ethics, beliefs, or they could go against those of society and the law. So being stuck in fawn can still be really dangerous for us too. It's crucial to understand, though, that these responses are not choices. They're deeply ingrained survival mechanisms, because if you look at these as a choice that you're making in your behavior, it makes you feel like you're doing something wrong. But really, what's happening is your body is reliving the trauma that your response system appears to be stuck in. I like to call it having a body memory. And you can't choose whether or not to experience a memory. These things happen. They're second nature. Okay, so given all of this, how does this trauma response thing actually have an effect on us? Well, it's not just about those memories or emotions in our mind. Trauma has far-reaching impacts on every aspect of our being. When your body is experiencing trauma, our physiological system goes into overdrive. And if you get stuck in that leads to chronic physiological activation, meaning that your stress response system is constantly on alert. And over time, this chronic activation can contribute to increased body deterioration, impacting everything from our immune system to our cardiovascular health. We might experience chronic pain, digestive issues, or constant fatigue, all linked to the body's sustained state of alert, especially if your health team is having a hard time figuring out where these health issues are coming from. We know that trauma has an effect on the mind, but I don't think it's always explored as to how profoundly it can affect our mind. Our brain gets wired for survival, and traumatic experiences alter its structure and function. This can create a state of chronic psychological activation, where anxiety, hypervigilance, and intrusive thoughts can become a common everyday occurrence. This environment can be an ideal circumstance for the development of mental health disorders like anxiety disorders, depression, PTSD, and even dissociative disorders. Our ability to focus, regulate emotions, and form healthy attachments can all be impacted around our brain's rewiring because of trauma. Probably one of the most long-standing and significantly debilitating aspects of how trauma can affect us is how trauma actually affects our spirit. I'm not necessarily talking about religion here, but I'm talking about our deep sense of self and connection. Whether you call that your identity, your soul, your spirit, it's all the same thing, right? Trauma can dramatically alter how we view ourselves and our identity. It can shatter our sense of safety, trust, and self-worth. It also impacts how we would relate to other people, making it difficult to form those close bonds or feel safe in relationships. And fundamentally, trauma can shake our values and our beliefs about the world, justice, and even humanity itself. Understanding these impacts is a really good first step towards healing. It helps us realize that many of our reactions aren't weaknesses, but rather intelligent, albeit sometimes maladaptive, survival strategies that helped us get through the trauma that we lived through. These responses and reactions to how we go about our day-to-day life is how we made it to where we are today. And I wouldn't lay blame on anybody who showed up in an interaction with me and acted and reacted in some of these ways, because I know they're not choosing to be like this. This is what's happened to them as a result of their lived experience. We'll dive back into the owner's manual on the next episode. But in the meantime, if you liked what I talked about today, or if I didn't cover something that you were hoping I would, leave me a comment below and I'll do my best to answer your questions.